What's good? This is Stephen Jones of SHIPSCO Fightwear, and you're listening to Capacity, the show that highlights creativity and transformation stories within the martial arts community. Today I'm talking with photographer and creative director Jeff Dojillo. Jeff has deep roots in the West Coast Muay Thai scene and has shot for brands like InFightStyle, Adidas, and USA Muay Thai. If you're curious about how to build your personal brand as a business or as a fighter, you don't want to miss this episode.
Hey, Stephen, thank you for having me a part of your first podcast. Well, the reiteration of it, and I really appreciate your time. I appreciate the work that you've put out in regards to your own company with all of the cool designs that you've been actually making an impact in the United States, along with other creatives here. But, I noticed you off the bat, so thank you for just connecting with me. Like you said, I am a photographer. I've been photographing the sport since about 2010, where West Coast Muay Thai was really thriving. It was kind of like the melting pot of Muay Thai, where there was a lot of professional and amateur fights happening. I was able to photograph a lot of the people that you now see on large promotions. Also helped to start a couple of brands that were pretty recognized in the United States in regards to Muay Thai. Specifically things like Can't Stop Crazy, where there were American legends that were a part of it, such as Miriam Nakamoto, Joe Schilling, to Kevin Ross, to Kai Hollenbeck, and just to name a few. I was also a part of a group of photographers that really showcased what was happening in the West Coast at that time, and I was a part of West Coast Muay Thai. I took our group and I kind of wanted to brand it, so I created the first stacked logo. Just said West Coast Muay Thai, and now you can see that being an influence to a lot of people's like logos and designs on their shirts. And when we did that, we created our first shirt, and it got a lot of traction because it was the first time the entire West Coast was unified under one brand. Because there was a lot of like competition between Northern California and Southern California. It's like Dodgers and Giants, right?
Yep.
But it was the first time that in Muay Thai where we put them together because we wanted the West Coast to thrive. So I designed the very first pair of shorts, and we sold out of about 100 to 200 pairs of shorts in 1 hour. And what the way that happened was because I was really inspired by a lot of streetwear that was happening in the United States, specifically things like Supreme, things like Ruka, things like Hall of Fame, and the quality of the garment I wanted and the quality of material was very different than what people were creating in the United States. Like, I think I was one of the very first to really utilize microfiber a lot. And everyone was doing a lot of satin, heavy satin, and I hated satin when I worked out. Like, it was too heavy. It was I didn't like the fabric. I wanted something that I sweated in all the time, right? So I was like, what can I get that would be something for athletics? And it was microfiber at the time. And then our brand was an American brand, so I knew that I didn't want to have tie writing on my brand. I just wanted West Coast, and I wanted to create limited amounts at a time because one, we didn't have the budget, right? We didn't have a
Yeah.
budget to create 1,000 shorts.
No.
So the only way to flip that to use that as leverage is okay. We're only doing 100 pairs. First come, first serve. We're gonna drop it at this time. And what I did was I think I was probably one of the first to create a lookbook and advertising campaigns for shorts. So we did twofold. This is how it worked with West Coast Muay Thai. We did a West Coast Muay Thai spotlight because we couldn't give awards out. We weren't coaches, we weren't promotions, but we wanted to spotlight the next up and coming athletes. So we took the athletes that just turned pro or were very high level amateurs, and we showcased them in our shorts. And we had different photographers from different regions of California. So I'd send my friend in the Bay Area to shoot maybe Eddie Abasolos at the time.
Hmm.
I would shoot Janet Todd at a certain time. I would shoot a kid named Victor Saravia from LA that fought Lion Fight. And then I'd have my friend Aaron shoot Marvin Madariaga in San Diego, and we'd have this like collection of athletes from around the West Coast all in our shorts, and that really amped up the sales of our shorts. After that, we did shorts, we did a jacket, and then I ended up I wanted to be the best photographer in Muay Thai I could be, right? Like, I've shot all the major promotions from Glory to Line Fight to K1 to low level shows and smokers here. And I was like, what's next for me, right? How can I get to the Olympic level? So I found IFMA, and on IFMA's website, it said, join your local chapter. So I was like, okay, what's the local chapter? It said local chapters, USMF in Texas. I was like, dang, there's Muay Thai in Texas? Because my worldview of Muay Thai is like this big at that point, right?
Yep.
I only know the West Coast, and I only know parts of New York. And I was like, okay, well, there's Muay Thai in the South. So I was about to reach out to them. And before I could do that, my friend Marcy from John's Gym in Woodin, man,
Hmm.
she was the vice president, and she was like, "Hey Jeff, I know you're really successful with the West Coast Muay Thai. We wanted to know how maybe you could help the federation in marketing." And I was like, "Oh, shoot, this is like my perfect
That
segue."
sounds
So
perfect. Yeah.
yeah, I sent him my resume, and I was just like, "Look, I want to be the creative director. I don't want to do anything else but just really define the brand." And I realized at that time they didn't even have an Instagram. They were barely utilizing their Facebook,
Yep.
and no one really knew what was happening. All of a sudden, Janet Todd was coming back with the bronze, Troy Jones was coming back with a gold medal, but no one knew that they were even selected for teams. All of a sudden, Janet and Troy were going to the World Games. We didn't even know what the World Games were at the time. So I was like, okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take their brand and I'm going to just do what I do. And what I did was I first really looked at it and figured out, okay, we need to have specific styles and the way we speak about our speak about the brand and how the brand is seen. So when I did that, we elevated to about now we have maybe 7,000 followers on Facebook to I went from 0 to about 15,000 organically on Instagram without any ads, without buying, without hiring anyone else. And we grew huge, and now the federation is much larger. There's a bigger kind of like awareness of USA Muay Thai,
I had no
and
idea when I first came in. When I first came in, like this was 5 years ago for me. So I know there's been
right,
a big transformation just in that amount of time because
yeah,
me coming into the game with no prior experience, no exposure to it at all. I There are some things that I'm not clear on in terms of sanctioning bodies,
mhm,
promotions in the United States, how the U.S. is set up for um, Muay Thai as a sport, what the role of that body is to get things to the
right,
Olympics, how things are
right,
paid for. Like I had no clue, and I think there's still a lot of gray area for most people. They don't know, and I think
yeah,
that if it does anything, it puts the emphasis on how important the branding process is for a couple different reasons. One, just identifying brand awareness, right? Like knowing that this place exists. Two,
mhm,
having a clear message and knowing exactly what your mission and what you're actually trying to achieve is. And I think just having clarity on mission, vision, what they're about, what their goals are, and then presenting it in a way that's consistent that you can count
for
on.
sure,
That's pushed it into a place from me not having any idea what it is to seeing starting to see people that I know and then starting to recognize the jerseys, right? Starting to recognize the
right,
gear. You can look at the social media accounts and
yeah,
even the animation stuff before and for reels and stuff, but also for the live events.
yeah,
So there's a lot of different touch points that you're bringing into the mix, and I think if you could talk to people about that and like maybe how it applies to, let's just talk about fight specific right now. As a fighter, what are some of the things you learned working with U.S. Muay Thai that fighters can apply to their own personal brand? Because we know that
right,
branding as a fighter is a big part, right? I mean, look at Connor,
yeah,
look at Chandler, look at, you know, Sugar Sean. It's like all these people are embodying a character, but they're also very clear about why they're special and they have a certain thing that they latch onto. I think all these things are super important. I'd love to hear your take on what you learned through that process and how you think you could apply it. Um,
definitely. I think that's like it's such a huge topic, but you know And I do, and I'm glad that, I had the opportunity to work with a lot of high caliber athletes and even athletes that are coming up now and different federations and brands. Um, First and foremost, like, I have to say, you have to be an exciting fighter, win or lose. That's a number one for your brand as an athlete, because no one's going to want to watch a boring fighter. No one's going to want to watch someone that talks and doesn't fight. No one's going to support someone that doesn't fight hard or have exciting fights. Like I in my broadcast channel, I was talking about Kevin Ross. Even though Kevin Ross didn't win all of his fights were exciting, and he put it out there. Look at Joe Schilling. He was very braggadocious, talked a lot, but he brought the fight. The fight was going to be exciting. And those are things that, one, a promoter looks for too, because you have to put asses in seats, right? Like, you wonder why people always get booked for fights that may not even be at your level. They may be on a losing streak, but they book them for fights, is because they put asses in seats, because the promoters, one, are spending money to throw a fight, and that's a business. So you have to have be an exciting fighter. Why you have to be an exciting fighter? Because you're going to bring asses in seats, and you're going to have more people to support you through those promoters. Second, that's number one, train hard, fight well, and be a really amazing fighter that you can be, and be exciting. Then the rest will follow. A lot of people don't understand that, right? Once you put your heart and soul into fighting and training and being the best that you can be, a lot of these things will follow. One, people will want to watch you fight, whether they hate you or they like you. They want to see you win or lose. So you're going to get haters, and you're going to get people that support you to want to watch your fights, one way or another, by either buying tickets or buying into the live stream, right? And a lot of the times, some of these promotions are able to give you a portion of those ticket sales. So that will help you in your camp and everything else that you have paid for in regards to training hard. So remember, one, for you fighters, is the promotion is not really doing you that much of a favor. They're still a business, right? And you want to be a business partner with the promotion, meaning you want to help them elevate. The more opportunity you get with them, the more money they make, the more exposure and money you make. So remember that it's not just you giving the opportunity to fight, giving it your all. What are you doing for the promotion? Right? That's a part of branding and marketing for yourself. So I don't know.
That
What do you feel about that?
well, I see a direct correlation to the amount of messages I get about people asking me for sponsorships when they're not really bringing much to the table. The best message I got asking about sponsorship that I haven't replied to yet. I got a few days ago. Uh, this fighter sent me a message. He goes, "Hey, I'm a fighter. I have about 1,500 Instagram followers, but I fight regularly. I also help manage some fighters, and I'd love to get some of the fighters that I'm representing in your shorts to help you with content so we can grow together." And I said, "Oh, damn. That's all it takes, right? It doesn't need to be more than that." I think that overlap was so clear when you said that. I was like, it's not just the promotions approach it that way; it's brands as well. So I think
Yes.
I'm sure you've experienced it too. Whenever you're hot and people are watching your stuff, you're going to get a lot of people asking for things, but it's the people that are doing the work, that are already like busting their ass and real clear about it's a mutual exchange. Like, you're trying to help each other out. And a lot of people just say, "Oh, you want to sponsor me?" And I'm like, I don't really give a shit. Like, you're not helping. Maybe you're not exciting. Maybe you've got 200 followers and you're posting once every 4 months. It's like,
Right.
you could be a great person, but from a business standpoint, it doesn't make any sense. So
Exactly. So, like, think about that, right? Say you want to be a helpful brand. You want to support everyone that you want. That you want to support high level athletes, but they never wear your stuff. They never post content.
they
They
never
never
tag you
even
in
shout
stuff.
you out. Never tag you.
Yep.
So, what is the benefit of sponsoring someone at a high level if they're not even going to be on the other end of that relationship? So, sponsorships are a relationship.
Yep.
It's not give me gear and I'll fight in it. No, it's give me gear and what do you need from me
Yep.
as an athlete,
Yep.
and what can I give you as a sponsor. So going back to how to find sponsors and a part of your brand is one, when you look for sponsors, you have to align with your sponsors and
Yep.
really believe in the product
Yep.
because it will show that you don't believe in the product,
Yep.
whether it's an energy drink, sports supplement, boxing gloves. Imagine if you were forced to wear boxing gloves that were shitty and ugly, and then they take pictures of you and you're blasted all over the world
Yep.
in product that you hate.
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend. I had a friend hit me up and he was like, "Man, this hat company really wants to sponsor me." I'm like, "Well, first show me the hat,
Yep.
right?" So I want to see what it looks like. And I go, "Well, how much are you going to make off of this?" They're like, "Oh, well, X amount of money." I go, "How much do you charge for private lessons?" "X amount of money." I'm like, "That doesn't even match your private
Mm-hmm.
lessons in full day. Plus, do you even like the hats?" He's like, "Nah, not really." I go, imagine walking down the street and there's billboards of you wearing this hat that you freaking disgust.
Uh,
How
yeah.
would you feel? Is that worth the money?
No.
And 9 times out of 10, it probably isn't, especially for brands that are kind of coming up.
Yep.
But again, like I said, you have to believe in the product and the brand. And when you approach these brands as athletes, you don't even have to write notes down. You're ready. I know your brand. I love it. I love
Yep.
the quality of your
Yep.
shorts. Your designs are excellent. I want to be able to partner with you to see how we can grow together. How can I be a content partner
Yep.
versus how can I become a sponsored athlete,
Yep. It's never
right?
going to start out with money ever because
Never.
we don't, you know, the cash is not rolling in so much, especially for a young startup solopreneur brand. Like it's not going to happen. So that exchange of gear, it usually comes in the form of content. So if you're
Right.
producing content and it's valuable, right? You're going to open yourself up to more, sponsored posts potentially for other brands. You're going to open up, especially if you're a fighter and you do seminars, it's going to open you up to more
Right.
seminar opportunities.
Right.
There's so many things. I've kind of taken a break from social so I could focus on building my business because I think there's a challenge of being in the community and contributing to the community, but also not spending so much time on social that you don't get the things done that you need to get done.
Mm,
So I think that
yeah.
is always a challenge, but I think as a fighter, you already have to do the work. You're already doing the work. I think it's just a reel here and there. There's so many things you can do that are simple from a you know, look at Angela Chang's Instagram, right? She's doing small little things. She probably batches them all. Like she'll do probably 10 to 20 posts at a time and she's going to schedule them to get them out. So there's ways to do this to where you can attract people to what you're doing, your hard work, your fight style, your work ethic.
Yeah.
Like there's ways to do it. And that's why I want to talk to you because I feel like as creatives that have both worked as you know creative directors in their own right, like this is what we do, we understand this. So
Yeah.
even outside of the fighting component, a lot of this
Right.
same stuff applies. And that's another reason I wanted to get you on here. So
Yeah. I think to what you said, it's for athletes that are starting to deal with brands and their level that they're dealing with brands, it's very necessary to be crystal clear on what the expectations are. You can't just go to someone and be like, "I'm gonna wear your shorts, cool. I'm gonna take pictures of them." No, it's how long's the duration of the sponsorship
hmm
and what are the expectations weekly,
hmm
and then you guys have to agree. So when you go back and your sponsor's like, "Oh, you're not doing enough," you can go back to the agreement like, "Well, you said I need to do one reel and a post a day. So I see I'm doing a post a day and one reel a week." And they're like, "Oh, you're right." Right? And then if you really like the sponsor and you want to build, you can go over and beyond like, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to do 2 reels for you just because I really like this relationship." And you know what's going to happen? 9 times out of 10, they're going to send you more shit,
yep
right? Because it's more content for the business to grow.
yep
Just like the promoters that are trying to get asses in seats, you're trying to get people in clothes, people in gloves, it's the same thing. So
yes
yeah, and I have a question for you. It's like,
yeah
we're creatives, right? We have whether you're a graphic designer, photographer, illustrator, motion graphics person, you have a portfolio, right?
hmm
And I bet you 9 times out of 10, if you ask a fighter, "Where can I watch your fights and how can I get to know you?" They're gonna either go to a YouTube link or maybe an Instagram, and we can't really know you through Instagram.
Yep.
So I think it's really important for even athletes to have a web page, at least on a gym website, where they can talk about who they are, how they fought, a link to all of their fights, what they stand
Mhm.
for, and then a link to their Instagram. Because I feel as though athletes need portfolios.
Yeah.
Like, and because they're martial artists, every art needs a portfolio. Because what happens if an athlete goes to you and go, "Yeah, man, I'm dope. I have like 20 fights. I have all knockouts. Where can I see the fights?" I don't know. It's the promotion has it.
Yeah.
Where can I get to know more about you? Like Instagram, you can see Instagram is going to be one line sentence on the bio versus
Mhm.
some athlete that's really serious about his career sends you a one web page that has a bio, pictures of him, and then photos of him.
Yep.
Wouldn't you look at that person more seriously than someone that just reaches out to you without that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the more work you make it for a promotion, for a sponsor, anybody to see what you're about, the harder
Yeah,
it's going to be to make a connection. I'm not gonna waste my time if it's not easy. Like attention spans are low.
yeah,
And as a designer, I've designed tons of websites, and ultimately, you wanna say what you're about. All right, let's just do this real quick while I'm at it. We'll do. All right. I'll give you two ways to make it easy to show what you're about. I'm gonna do a website version and I'm gonna do an Instagram version. So website,
cool.
you're gonna need a video, whether it's one video or a batch that's been edited together. You need to talk about where you fight. You need to talk about what your record is. You need to talk about what your goals are. And you should probably be personal and say like something about yourself that's not fight related. Like, I know you love hip hop music and you make beats, and that's something that I connect with because I'm a musician. I like to play guitar. I play guitar most of my life. Living in Nashville, you kind of have to.
Yeah,
But like adding a human element is super important. I get more engagement and I get um, more conversations started over things that are not Muay Thai related. Whenever I'm
for
I'm
sure.
whether it's either Instagram or website, like that's the stuff that people remember. So ultimately, you want to make all that easy to get to. You want to make it easy to
Yeah,
contact you. You want to have an
yeah,
easy, whether it's an email link or a contact form. You want to have that on the website and a link to your social media. So whether it's YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and ultimately you have the option to curate that stuff on your website. I mean, you can make a gallery that has or just embed some of the best stuff from either YouTube or from your Instagram as a blog post. You can make it searchable. You know, whatever you write, if it's intentional and thoughtful, will help you in SEO. If I wanted to say, "Hey,
yeah.
I'm Nashville graphic designer and Muay Thai coach and practitioner," I would write about myself. I would talk about, you know, what I'm trying to do so that if somebody searched, okay, Nashville Muay Thai fighter or Nashville Muay Thai coach or whatever the case is, all right? You've got to put enough in there to be easy to find as well. So, website, that's my suggestions. I think you could also do something like that for Instagram as well. So the use of highlights, I think, is underrated. I think you could definitely do an intro. You could do an intro
Yeah,
video where you just have one video that's you talking about yourself, where you're from, what your goals are, what your record is. You can keep it updated if you hit some milestones. You can talk about who you fought. Um, but I think definitely use highlights to do an intro. You can do highlights to showcase specific like collection of fights if you have those in posts
yeah,
or reels or stories. Like this is highlights is one of those underutilized things. You don't have to put every damn fight you've ever had over 10 years or 5 years, right? You can pick the best ones that show the good stuff, the knockouts, the good moments, right? So if you put everything in those highlights, everything's gonna get lost. So just curate it to like 5
30
things.
seconds.
Yeah,
30 seconds.
yeah, that's
And
it.
then they can also pin it to the top of their profiles.
Yep.
So say like you said, like a bio, like a personal video, they could pin that. Then they could
Yep.
pin their highlights, and they could pin their best photographs of the year.
Yep.
And man, that already alone is so much.
Yeah.
You know,
You just
I
want
think
to,
you said a lot of great things.
yeah, you just want to give people what they need quickly. It's curating the most important things about what you're trying to accomplish and what you've done, and putting that in a format that's easy for people to digest and get quickly. So
Right.
people don't have a shitload of time. They're not going to sit around and dig either. So just make it easy on yourself. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's two really good points. Um, yeah, man. So I'm curious personally, what are you working on that's not Muay Thai and photography related? So I know you're always making beats.
I'm
I
always
want to
making
know
beats.
about I want to know about your other hobbies, creative endeavors. Like
Sure.
I always ask people because it feels like every time you go to a party, everybody's like, "Oh, what do you do?" And everybody just talks about work. And I'm like, "No, I want to know what you love to do that's outside of work." So give me a little bit of that.
Well, like today, for example, I I multitask, right? So like I dedicate a certain amount of time to USA Muay Thai. Today was USA Muay Thai. I'm having meetings, I'm putting out fires, I'm creating things, but at the same time, I'm listening to YouTube and listening to like 1980s R&B
Oh,
because
dude,
I wanted to chop it up.
Shalimar is my favorite shit. If
Because
anyone
I
asks me what my favorite group is, Shalimar, bro, and the Whispers are like a close second or third.
Yeah, I mean, like, because I sample a lot of hip hop music because I was just raised sampling music, and back then I wasn't really into R&B music because
Mhm.
it was just too slow, and I wanted that hard boom bap sound. And for some reason, last week I was like, let me try to listen to some R&B and kind of make it that West Coast slap. And all of a sudden, I'm listening to these rare, obscure songs. And whenever I hear something that I think I could sample, like stop what I'm doing, I have like a set over here with like my drum machines and stuff. I sample everything 12-bit because I like it super raw, and then I chop it up real quick and then get back to doing it. And I play the loop on repeat. And I'm like multitasking in my head. I'm like answering emails, I'm creating designs, and I'm listening to this loop on how I could chop it better than I'll take a break and I'll chop it again, and then I'll come back and I'm thinking about drum patterns. So hip hop is almost making beats is like therapeutic to me. It's kind of like when people paint to
Yep.
release something. Like I have to make beats or I'll go crazy. So yeah, I mean, I think that I like digging for records too. I love Brazilian music. Um, Again, like I'm inspired by different things, man. Like whenever I go out to a different country, I have to go to a record store and pick up records. You saw my Colombian digs, and those beats are fire. I gotta send them to you because I know you paid attention to me when I was making those.
Yep.
And like I have folders of like a year full of beats, like from 2016 that I stock for videos, my personal videos. When I do YouTube videos or highlight videos, I throw one of my beats on, and I never get copyright infringement because they're all chopped up,
Yep.
and it goes to the beats that I like. So a lot of the beats that I also make just go into my personal video work for, like, for example, if I do like shoots for commercial stuff, I do that too.
I was thinking about it, and one of the things I like doing is also making music for the podcast. But I was thinking,
Yeah.
man, I was wondering maybe I could recruit you to help me with an intro and an outro for this
Whatever you.
podcast.
I'll send
That'd
you
be
beats.
so dope,
I'll send you a folder. You could
dude.
just choose one.
Dude, that'd be amazing. That'd be so awesome. I'll give
Yeah.
you a shout out at the end of every show. We'll just keep it on there as a tag at the end, dude. That would be dope.
Yeah, man. And again, like I love all kinds of music. So anything from Brazilian jazz to Japanese pop to soul, funk and soul to just
Yeah,
even alternative and down tempo stuff. I'm just a fan of music, but yeah, that's like one of my biggest hobbies. One of my biggest hobbies is that.
that's great, man.
What about you? What are your hobbies outside of this stuff?
Yeah, man. It's Muay Thai is a big part of my life for sure. I did not think that I would be coaching. You know, I didn't see that for myself. I still see myself as a student of the game. So that takes up a big part of my life. So I run pretty much two sides of my business. The SHIPSCO Fightwear is really the passion stuff, right? So it's scratching all my art itches. art and design are two different things. Art is more of a
Yeah,
self-expression for myself. Design
exactly.
is really about solving a problem. So the studio side, the client work that I do is a lot of branding and design work and illustration. So I think about that as design. That pays most of my bills. SHIPSCO Fightwear is more about uh, letting me express myself, immerse myself in the
Yeah,
community, and trying to contribute in different ways. And creatively, what we're doing right now is one of those things, right? So it may be illustration one week, it may be doing a collaborative post with somebody who's doing some fun pad work or something like that happens. But I think if I was looking at a creative endeavor outside of design illustration, it's definitely music. Music's been
yeah,
a big part. I think during the pandemic, I've been playing guitar since I was 12, 13. So that's,
dang, okay.
I guess that's like 30 years almost now. So
Majority of your life, yeah,
majority of my life, my dad uh, plays piano, keyboard. He's played in bands as long as I've been alive. I mean, he started playing when he was 4 years old. So um, I remember like some of my earliest memories in my life were in storage units at band practice next to a big, huge bass
yeah,
amp with a full band and my dad jamming out work and rehearsing.
yeah.
So
That's
I mean, I
awesome.
remember this as early as like 3 and 4 years old. Like some of my initial memories were being surrounded by music. So he's played in church, he's played in country and rock bands. So that's always been a big part. Um, I found uh blues music really got me going. And then
Yeah,
like Stevie Ray Vaughan stuff, like when I was 14 or 15, just blew my mind and it made me want to play guitar. Um, and that evolved into uh, more funk, soul,
yeah,
um, that kind of stuff. And then like, 90s is golden era for hip hop too. So like
yeah,
I'm hearing all this stuff, man. I love the funky stuff but like I loved it so much.
yeah,
And I had no idea until, within the last 10 years, really digging into the songs that were being sampled, right? So like
yeah,
you're hearing all these tunes and it's all the 80s R&B stuff. So
yeah,
it's like this is a like a cheesy example, but like uh just thinking about uh that Coolio song where they sampled Fantastic Voyage from
yeah.
Lakeside, and I'm like, I fucking love Lakeside, man. Like I love it. But at the time I had no idea, like I had no idea where it was
Yeah,
coming from, but it influenced me a lot. And yeah, so I just played guitar a lot of, even when I was in the Navy, it was a lot of blues, soul stuff. Moved to Nashville. I played downtown for like almost all of my college
wow,
years, doing blues, southern rock, southern soul, a little bit of country mixed in. And pandemic hit, and I was like, I'd always played just electric guitar, and I bought an acoustic and been really like learning more finger picking style, which is like a little more folk style and a little bit of bluegrass mixed in, which is super
yeah,
fun. So
yeah,
yeah, man, like it's hard to fit in too many other hobbies because Muay Thai takes up such a big part of my life. Um,
yeah.
between
But man,
that,
like live music is such an amazing experience, and I can't tell people how much of like you go to clubs, there's DJs everywhere. There's electronic music is great, but it's not until you witness the feeling of a live band in front of you with really great musicians. I get chills just thinking
yep,
about how just mind melting, man. Like I went to see that Brazilian artist that I sampled a long time ago, and he had a full orchestra, and fuck, it was insane, man. Like the string section alone was just nuts, and then the horn section alone was just nuts, and like everyone was vibing. Yeah, so for all you young people out there that have never seen live musicians before, do yourself a favor,
yeah,
go see
got,
some live
got to
musicians,
see
right?
it,
Yeah.
man. We're coming up on time, so I want to give you the opportunity. If there's anything that you could wrap up and say to fighters, what would you tell them in terms of just growing their brand and trying to evolve in the fight business along with the fight side of things?
If I could tell fighters one thing to help elevate them as brands is learn how to speak about yourself. Learn how to speak about the sport. When someone asks you about the way you fight and what your plan is, speak to them in a well-educated manner. And it doesn't mean that you have to have a college degree to do it. You just need to know the fight game. And number two, always fight and try to be the best fighter you can be. Take the hardest fights you can, be as exciting as you can. Because if you do that, if you put 110% into your training and your fighting, everything else will come naturally. And also, look into the network of your gym. If you can't create content yourself, there's photographers there, there's artists there, graphic designers. And even if you can't pay them, give them something in exchange, like a private lesson, a one on one, give them pad work, give them in exchange. Because if you do that, guaranteed they will work with you again and want you to succeed. And never forget about the people that were there in the beginning.
Yep.
That's always my number one.
I think we're going to end on that because that's too good. I don't have anything that's going to top that to add. So, Jeff, thank you so much for coming on. First episode back after a couple years with more of a narrowed creatives and Muay Thai focus versus just athletes. So I think it's going to be really fun, and can't thank you enough for coming on, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for joining us. Our theme music is created by Jeff Dojillo. This episode was sponsored by SHIPSCO Fightwear for the dangerously creative. Follow along at SHIPSCO on Instagram and YouTube, and remember to always create boldly, fight fearlessly.